Afternoon, sir.
This your vehicle?
Yeah, it's mine. Something wrong?
We've had reports of it being involved in a theft. I'm going to need you to step away from the back of the car.
Look, officer, I'm just loading my groceries.
Hands where I can see them.
No problem. Just, I deal with this a lot. Reaching into my pocket, okay?
Go ahead, slow.
Here.
Officer Ryan Mitchell had been with the Atlanta Police Department for 11 years when he made a decision that would obliterate his career and cost the city $3.2 million. He was 34 years old, experienced enough to know better, but convinced his instincts about who belonged where were always correct. One Saturday afternoon in Atlanta's Buckhead district, a white woman called 911 claiming to witness a car theft. The supposed thief was Special Agent Derek Williams, a 14-year FBI veteran loading groceries into his own Mercedes SUV after shopping at Whole Foods. Despite Williams showing federal credentials, vehicle registration, and his key fob, Mitchell arrested him in the parking lot. The decision would end Mitchell's career and prove that owning your own vehicle isn't protection enough when an officer has decided you're a criminal. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. It's 2:45 p.m. on a Saturday in August at the Whole Foods on Peachtree Road in Buckhead, Atlanta's wealthiest neighborhood. The parking lot is filled with luxury vehicles. The Georgia sun beats down mercilessly as shoppers hurry from store to car. Special Agent Derek Williams had been with the FBI for 14 years. 9 years in organized crime, dismantling drug networks and money laundering operations. 3 years in public corruption before that. 2 years in violent crimes. He'd testified before federal grand juries dozens of times. At 39, Williams was respected throughout federal law enforcement and financially stable enough to afford what he'd worked for. That Saturday, Williams was off duty, stocking up on groceries. He wore cargo shorts, a polo shirt, and sneakers. His FBI credentials were in his wallet. His service weapon was locked at home. His vehicle was a 2020 Mercedes GLE 450, black exterior, tan leather interior. It cost $78,000. Monthly payment, $1,340, registered in his name, insured in his name. He'd parked in row 3. After checking out with $200 in groceries, he walked to his Mercedes, pressed his key fob, heard the locks disengage, opened the rear hatch, and began loading his bags. Just a man putting groceries in his own vehicle. Nothing suspicious. But someone was watching, and they'd already decided what they were seeing. Do you think witnesses should face consequences for filing false police reports based on racial assumptions? Drop your answer below. Catherine Brewster was 52, lived in Buckhead for 23 years in a $1.2 million gated community. Married to a real estate developer, she spent her days at pure bar and charity luncheons. She'd called police 6 times in 3 years on non-white people in her neighborhood. Hispanic landscapers who were hired by her HOA. A black delivery driver checking his GPS. An Asian real estate photographer with written permission. Her pattern was clear. That afternoon, loading her Range Rover, she noticed a black man at a Mercedes 3 spaces down. To her biased mind, black man plus luxury vehicle equaled theft. She watched him load bags, then called 911. I'm at the Whole Foods on Peachtree Road in Buckhead. I'm witnessing a car theft in progress. Black male, late 30s, loading items into a black Mercedes SUV. I don't think it's his vehicle. He looks suspicious. The dispatcher asked standard questions. Did you see him break into the vehicle? Did he damage anything? Did he use keys? No, but he doesn't look like someone who would own that car. He's loading it like he doesn't know where things go. Ma'am, if he has keys and he's loading groceries, he's likely the owner. I've lived in Buckhead my whole life. I know who belongs here and who doesn't. This man is stealing that vehicle. The call was logged. Possible auto theft. Black male, approximately 40, loading black Mercedes. Officer Ryan Mitchell was 4 blocks away. The word theft caught his attention. This could be a good arrest. Mitchell had been with Atlanta PD 11 years with 19 complaints. 14 involved stops of black people in affluent areas. A black teenager in a BMW stopped for 30 minutes demanding proof the car wasn't stolen. A black woman walking her dog questioned for 15 minutes. A black businessman demanded to show employee credentials. 7 complaints sustained, 12 closed without findings. His supervisors noted he was proactive but sometimes jumped to conclusions based on appearance. Those notes never meant consequences. When Mitchell heard the call, his mind constructed a narrative. Car theft, black suspect, luxury vehicle, Buckhead, criminal elements infiltrating good areas. He arrived at the parking lot at 2:51 p.m., 6 minutes after the call. He spotted the black Mercedes immediately. Williams was closing the rear hatch, having finished loading his groceries. Mitchell pulled his patrol car directly behind the Mercedes, blocking it in. He exited quickly, his right hand hovering near his weapon out of habit. Williams heard the car door slam behind him. He turned and saw the patrol car, the officer approaching with aggressive body language. Williams's stomach sank. He'd been a black man in America for 39 years. He'd been a federal agent for 14. He recognized exactly what was happening. "Hold it right there. Hands where I can see them." Williams raised his hands to chest level, the key fob still visible in his right hand. His voice was calm but firm. "Officer, is there a problem? I'm just loading my groceries." "Step away from the vehicle. This is my vehicle. I own it." "We got a report of a possible theft." "A theft? I'm putting groceries I just purchased into my own car." "What exactly looks like theft to you?" This is where racial profiling overrides logic. Officer Mitchell had responded to a call about a black man loading a Mercedes. When he arrived, he saw a black man loading a Mercedes. In his mind, that confirmed the call. Every piece of evidence after that, the key fob, the calm explanation, the grocery bags from the store 30 yards away, was filtered through his initial bias. He wasn't looking at a vehicle owner. He was looking at a car thief caught in the act. "I need to see some identification and proof you own this vehicle." Williams slowly reached for his wallet, keeping his movements visible and deliberate. He pulled out his FBI credentials, black leather case, gold badge, federal identification card with his photograph, name, and badge number clearly displayed. "I'm Special Agent Derek Williams, FBI. This is my personal vehicle. Registration is in the glove box. My driver's license matches the registration. The key fob in my hand opens these doors. I just spent $200 on groceries in that store, and the receipt is in one of these bags." Mitchell glanced at the credentials. His jaw tightened. Anyone can buy a fake badge online. Turn around. Hands on the vehicle. Williams felt the familiar surge of anger and disbelief. "These are legitimate FBI credentials. Call them in. Verify them. Check the registration. This is my car. Do what I said. Now." Should officers be required to verify federal credentials before detaining agents? Let me know what you think. Williams knew his options. Resist and risk escalation, possibly violence. Comply and let this catastrophic mistake play out. Then deal with the consequences later. He chose documentation over confrontation. "I'm complying under protest. I am Special Agent Derek Williams, FBI Atlanta Field Office. This officer is detaining me for loading groceries into my own vehicle. My credentials are legitimate. My vehicle registration proves ownership. Someone called in a false report, and this officer is acting on racial bias." Several shoppers had stopped to watch. Phones came out. A woman near the entrance started recording. A man loading his own car 2 spots away angled his camera toward them. Williams placed his hands on the rear window of his Mercedes. Mitchell approached from behind, grabbed Williams's left arm roughly, and twisted it behind his back. He snapped one handcuff on, then pulled the right arm back and secured it. The cuffs were tight, deliberately tight. Williams winced but said nothing. "You're being detained for investigation of auto theft." "I'm not being detained for investigation. I'm being arrested for being black in Buckhead." Mitchell walked Williams toward the patrol car. As they passed the front of the Mercedes, Williams spoke loudly enough for all the witnesses to hear. "Officer Mitchell, that's your nameplate, correct? You are detaining a federal agent who showed you credentials, who offered to provide registration, who has the key fob to this vehicle, and who just purchased groceries from that store. Open the glove box and check the registration. Derek Williams. Same name as my FBI identification. Same name as my driver's license. Same address. This vehicle is registered to me, financed through SunTrust Bank, insured through State Farm, and has been my personal vehicle for 8 months." Mitchell opened the rear door of his patrol car. "Get in. Check the registration. Call the FBI. Don't make this worse. I'll verify everything at the station." "The station? I'm standing in a parking lot next to groceries I just bought. My ice cream is melting. My chicken is getting warm. And you're arresting me for owning my own car. Mitchell guided Williams into the back seat, closed the door, and returned to the Mercedes. He looked through the driver's window. The registration document was visible in the glove box through the windshield, but Mitchell didn't open the door to examine it. Instead, he walked to where Catherine Brewster was standing next to her Range Rover, still watching. "Ma'am, did you make the call?" "Yes. Is that car stolen?" "I'm investigating. Can you describe what you saw?" "I saw him loading bags into that Mercedes. He was taking his time, like he didn't know the vehicle. I've lived here 20 years. I know what belongs and what doesn't." "Did you see him break into the vehicle? Use any tools? Damage anything?" "No, but he had keys. Thieves can get keys." Mitchell nodded as if this confirmed his suspicions and returned to his patrol car. Williams sat in the back seat, handcuffed, watching shoppers walk past with their groceries. Watching his Mercedes groceries still in the cargo area, registration proving ownership just a few feet away. Watching his career as a federal agent be diminished by an officer who decided his guilt based on nothing more than skin color and a false report from a biased witness. Why do some people see black individuals with expensive possessions and assume theft? Comment your thoughts. The drive to the precinct took 18 minutes. Williams spent it memorizing every detail, times, statements, witnesses, the shoppers who'd recorded video, the woman who made the false report, the registration Mitchell refused to check, the FBI credentials dismissed as fake. All of it would matter later. They arrived at the Buckhead precinct. Mitchell walked Williams inside, still handcuffed, past the front desk where a sergeant looked up with immediate concern. "Mitchell, what have you got?" "Possible auto theft. Caught him loading items into a Mercedes at Whole Foods." The desk sergeant, Andre Coleman, a 16-year veteran and one of the precinct's few black sergeants, stood up slowly. "Possible? Did you verify ownership?" "Working on it. Got a call from a witness who said he looked suspicious." Coleman's eyes narrowed. "That's not verification. That's a report. Did you check registration? Run the VN?" Williams spoke clearly, his voice controlled but hard. "Sergeant Coleman, I am Special Agent Derek Williams, FBI Atlanta Field Office, Organized Crime Division. I was loading groceries into my personal vehicle, a 2022 Mercedes GLE registered in my name, when Officer Mitchell detained me based on a false report from a white woman who decided I looked suspicious. I showed Officer Mitchell my federal credentials. I told him my registration is in the glove box. I offered my driver's license, which matches the registration. I have the key fob that unlocks the vehicle. Officer Mitchell ignored all of this and arrested me anyway." Coleman's expression went cold. "He showed you FBI credentials?" Mitchell pulled the credentials from his pocket and handed them over. "Claims they're real. Could be fake." Coleman examined the credentials carefully. The badge, the identification card, the hologram security features, the seal. He'd seen enough federal credentials in his career to know authentic from counterfeit. These were real. "Mitchell, these are legitimate federal credentials. He could have bought them online. Anyone can." "No. These are real." Coleman looked at Williams. "Agent Williams, what's your badge number?" Williams recited it immediately along with his supervisor's name, phone number for the Atlanta Field Office, and his vehicle's VIN from memory. Coleman picked up the phone and called the FBI. The confirmation came back within 2 minutes. Special Agent Derek Williams, 14 years of service, Organized Crime Division, current status active, home address confirmed, vehicle registration confirmed, 2022, Mercedes GLE 450, VIN matching the vehicle in the Whole Foods parking lot. Registered owner, Derek Williams. Coleman hung up and turned to Mitchell. His voice shook with barely controlled fury. "You arrested an FBI agent for loading groceries into his own car, after he showed you his credentials, after he told you where to find the registration. You didn't verify ownership. You didn't check the VIN. You didn't call it in. You just saw a black man with a Mercedes and decided he stole it. The witness said he looked suspicious. The witness was wrong and you didn't verify before you cuffed him. You arrested a federal agent based on nothing but racial profiling." Coleman unlocked the handcuffs himself. "Agent Williams, I apologize on behalf of Atlanta PD. This is inexcusable." Williams rubbed his wrists. Deep red marks were visible where the metal had dug into his skin. I need the body camera footage. I need the 911 call recording. I need statements from the witnesses in that parking lot. I need the name of the woman who made that call, and I need to speak with Internal Affairs immediately. A captain arrived within minutes. Robert Davison, a 23-year veteran who'd been fighting uphill against racial profiling in his department for years. He listened to Coleman's briefing, verified the FBI confirmation, and turned to Mitchell with barely concealed disgust. Badge and weapon. Administrative leave effective immediately. Captain, I responded to a theft call. You arrested a federal agent for putting groceries in his own car. You had credentials in your hand. You had registration available in the glove box. You had a key fob that proved access. You ignored all of it because your bias told you a black man couldn't own that vehicle. Give me your badge. Mitchell handed them over, finally understanding the magnitude of his mistake. Should officers face automatic termination for arresting vehicle owners in their own cars without checking registration? Drop your answer. Within 3 hours, the videos had exploded across social media. Multiple angles from different witnesses in the parking lot. Williams loading groceries, Mitchell approaching. Williams showing credentials, being handcuffed anyway, being walked to the patrol car, all of it captured and uploaded. FBI agent arrested in Buckhead for loading groceries into his own Mercedes. Federal agent handcuffed after showing badge, offering registration. Atlanta cop arrests black agent, refuses to verify vehicle ownership. Officer says FBI credentials could be fake, arrests agent anyway. The outrage was immediate and volcanic. The FBI issued a formal statement condemning the arrest. The NAACP called for prosecution. Civil rights organizations demanded accountability. Mercedes-Benz USA even issued a statement supporting their customer and condemning racial profiling. Catherine Brewster, identified as the 911 caller through public records requests, initially defended her actions to a local news station. I saw something suspicious and reported it. That's what we're supposed to do. She was eviscerated online within hours. Her name, her neighborhood, her pattern of previous calls all became public. Her husband's real estate company issued a statement distancing itself from her views. Her Pure Bar studio asked her not to return. Her charity organizations removed her from committees. The lawsuit named Officer Ryan Mitchell, Sergeant Coleman for supervisory failure despite his intervention, Catherine Brewster, and Atlanta Police Department. The claims were extensive. Unlawful arrest without probable cause, false imprisonment, racial profiling and discrimination, violation of federal civil rights, excessive force in handcuffing, intentional infliction of emotional distress, failure to verify basic facts before arrest, negligent training and supervision of officer with 19 prior complaints. The evidence was overwhelming: body camera footage, civilian video from multiple angles, FBI confirmation of credentials, vehicle registration, key fob that opened the doors, grocery receipt timestamped 6 minutes before the arrest, witness statements, Catherine Brewster's 911 call recording, Mitchell's own report contradicting the video evidence. The city settled 14 months later. $3.2 million paid to Special Agent Derek Williams, among the largest wrongful arrest settlements in Georgia history. Officer Ryan Mitchell was terminated 11 weeks after the incident. The termination letter was brutal and final. Officer Mitchell arrested a federal agent for loading groceries into his own vehicle. Despite being shown legitimate FBI credentials, despite being told where to find registration documents, despite having access to verification systems, Officer Mitchell proceeded with an arrest based solely on racial bias and an unverified civilian report. His 19 prior complaints demonstrate a pattern of discriminatory policing that this department should have addressed years ago. His employment is terminated immediately. No appeal will be granted. Mitchell's name entered the National Decertification Index. His law enforcement career ended at 34. He attempted to appeal through his union. The union reviewed the body camera footage showing Mitchell calling legitimate FBI credentials fake, reviewed his 19 complaints, and declined to fight the termination. There was no defense. Catherine Brewster was named in the lawsuit. She settled separately for $80,000 paid from her personal assets. Her reputation in Buckhead was destroyed. She and her husband quietly divorced 8 months later. She moved out of state. Should civilians face criminal charges for false police reports based on racial profiling? Let me know in the comments. Atlanta Police Department faced unprecedented scrutiny. 19 complaints over 11 years, 14 involving black individuals. How was Mitchell still on patrol? Internal Affairs found systemic failure. Complaints tracked individually but never analyzed for patterns. Sustained complaints with meaningless consequences. Supervisors who noted problems but took no action. A culture prioritizing officer retention over community protection. The Department of Justice opened an investigation, finding similar issues with dozens of officers. Comprehensive reforms were mandated. Automatic desk duty for 5 or more discrimination complaints. Immediate termination for 10 or more. Mandatory credential verification before arrest. Required registration check before vehicle arrests. Body camera review within 24 hours. Independent civilian oversight. Quarterly racial disparity analysis. Public complaint database. Special Agent Derek Williams testified at City Council hearings. I'm an FBI agent with 14 years of service. I saved for 2 years to afford my Mercedes. I pay $1,340 every month. It's registered in my name, insured in my name, financed in my name. And I was arrested for loading groceries into it because Officer Mitchell saw a black man and decided I must be a criminal. He paused. I had my FBI credentials, my driver's license, the registration location, the key fob in my hand, grocery bags visible, a receipt timestamped 6 minutes earlier. None of it mattered because Mitchell had already decided what he was looking at. Another pause. If this happens to me, a federal agent with credentials and institutional backing, what happens to every other black person profiled while driving their own car? Who don't have badges or lawyers or the FBI? How many get arrested, harassed, traumatized, and nobody knows because they can't fight back? The room was silent. This is about a system that documented 19 complaints and did nothing. 19 chances to intervene. If we don't fix that system, my lawsuit means nothing. Because there's another Mitchell out there right now pulling over another black driver, making the same racist assumptions. Should police departments face federal oversight after multiple discrimination complaints against officers? Drop your answer. This wasn't just wrongful arrest. This was proof that for black people, owning nice things makes you suspicious. Williams had his badge, registration, driver's license, key fob, receipt, witnesses, video. None of it mattered because Brewster saw a black man with a Mercedes and called 911. Because Mitchell agreed with her. Because both couldn't imagine a black man legitimately owning a $78,000 vehicle. This is how racism operates. It's assuming black people don't belong with luxury items. It's seeing a black person with a nice car and assuming theft. It's calling police because they don't look like what you think an owner should look like. When backed by arrest authority, it sends a message. You don't belong no matter what you own or earned. Mitchell's career is over. Brewster paid $80,000. The city paid $3.2 million. But money doesn't undo being arrested while loading groceries. Settlements don't restore dignity. The question is, what changes? Do departments remove officers after 10 complaints instead of 19? Do witnesses face prosecution for false reports? Do we acknowledge black people can own expensive things? If we don't fix systems that kept Mitchell patrolling despite 19 complaints, if we don't address culture that taught Brewster to see black prosperity and call 911, we're waiting for the next arrest, the next parking lot, the next person criminalized for owning their property. Comment if you believe this should be federal law. Filing false police reports based on racial bias results in mandatory prosecution and minimum $50,000 fine. And if you think these stories need exposure, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep documenting these patterns. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for black professionals who've earned everything they own and deserve to enjoy it without being criminalized. This isn't just about one officer, one caller, or one agent. It's about all of us and the world we're willing to accept.